right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's been about 3 or 4 years since my mom passed away, and after my mom passed away, we went to her house to clean it out. And of course, you're going through lots and lots of things, and everything stirs a memory just about, right? Well, one of the things that I found was this big, I don't know if you call it a mosaic, but a big cloth thing that had a picture of a peacock on it. And I want to tell you the story about the peacock thing, okay? Because this was, I don't know if it was a rug or it was a embroidered thing, but it was just this big wall-hanging peacock thing. And here's the story. We were on vacation when we were kids, and it was a hurricane coming through, and I don't know that I knew it was a hurricane. I was just a kid. But it was pouring rain out, and I said to my sister, Mom and Dad's anniversary is tomorrow. We've got to go get something. So I was a little kid. My sister was even littler than me, and we decided to take a walk and find a gift for Mom and Dad, right? Mm-hmm. So we found this store that sold this thing I just told you that we ended up buying. But guess what happened while we were out there walking? They were wondering where we were. So we were in a motel. I didn't tell you that part. We were on a vacation in a motel. It's pouring out. All of a sudden, where's Larry and Doreen? Where are they? And little did I know, they called the police, the sheriff's office, whoever.
Oh, wow.
They're looking for us, right? And we come walking back. We're so proud. We got this gift from Mom and Dad. And all's well that ends well. But you know, it is. We live just a few miles from the Ocala National Forest, and every once in a while there's a story of some children or even adults that just aren't to be found. Nobody knows where they are, and gosh, how scary can that be? There was this kid in Rome, right? Went to Italy, and he disappeared and found was dead in the river.
Yeah,
just last week.
Horrible.
Paul Tremblay. What a way to introduce a guest, huh? Paul Tremblay is on the phone. He wrote this book that'll hold your attention for sure. It's called Disappearance at Devil's Rock. It's a psychological suspense novel. He's got a bunch of credentials. Let me just touch some of them. He's the Bram Stoker award-winning author of A Head Full of Ghosts. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, lots of other credentials, but I know we have a short interview. Bram Tremblay. Good morning, Paul Tremblay. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Larry. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my gosh. I messed up the intro, but thank you for being on there. Where are you calling from?
I live about 20 minutes south of Boston.
Out of Boston, okay. So the idea of children being lost is everybody's biggest fear, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was the starting point for me. I mean, I'm a parent, and I have my son is now a teenager, and I have a daughter who's almost a teenager. So, yeah, that was sort of the leaping off point was, the parent's worst nightmare of getting a call like 1:30 in the morning, someone telling you that one of your kids is missing.
Yeah, my gosh. And so in the story, how much can we tell? I don't want to give too much away, obviously. But where does it take place? Where is Devil's Rock?
So the novel takes place in sort of the area that I live in just south of Boston. Borderland State Park is a real place, and it's where Tommy Sanderson goes missing from. Tommy was in a sleepover, and this isn't a spoiler, it happens in the first chapter. Tommy's at a sleepover with a couple friends, and him and the two boys sneak out in the middle of the night to go into the state park, which is pretty large. And Tommy, according to his friends, just sort of takes off, and they think he's messing around, but he doesn't come back, and hours pass, and they have no idea where he is, and things sort of spiral out of control from there.
Oh, no. Now we have to read the rest of the book to find out. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's the fun of speaking about novels. You didn't ever have anything happen like that to you, did you?
Oh, God, no. No. And actually, because as I mentioned, I am a parent, and obviously it's a fear. I tried to detach as much as I could from the emotions, even though I tried to portray the emotions realistically. So, yeah. I mean, Tommy was nothing like my son. Tommy is the kid Zach who lives down the street. Sorry, Zach.
You also tried to interweave the supernatural with the story.
Yeah, the supernatural element in the book is pretty ambiguous, I think. There's definitely a question as to, is there something supernatural actually happening or not? I sort of did that with both of my recent novels, A Head Full of Ghosts as well. I think some of that relates to me being a math teacher by day, so I try to be rational most of the time. To me, I feel like if something supernatural were to happen, like, or if I were to experience something supernatural, what would that be like? And I think it would be, one, very hard to identify, and two, certainly hard to describe and believe, and maybe, I wouldn't be sure if it was supernatural or not. So that's kind of how I treated it in Disappearance at Devil's Rock.
Do you know what's weird? There was you just reminded me of something so many years ago, but we had a story of a lost child in the news. I think it was in national news, and sometime around that time we had a guest who was psychic, said she was psychic anyway, and the question came up, do you know where the missing child is? And she told us where the missing child was. We thought, oh, come on, you think they never looked there? And then like a week later it was in the news that's where the child was found, unfortunately dead.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, I mean, either she was the murderer or there is something to this whole psychic thing. I don't know. It was one of those freaky things that I remember telling Robin. Remember she said that. We went back to the tape, in fact, and listened to it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's exactly it. I mean, whether or not there was, the psychic actually had some sort of special insight, I mean, it's difficult to believe if that, in fact, is the case or not.
And you also have Tommy with his friends, too, and they're being pretty evasive.
Yeah, I think it was important to have, like, Tommy and two friends, so like a triangle of three people as opposed to just two kids. But I think especially with adolescents, being a high school teacher myself, once you add that third kid into the mix, I think it's easier for three people as opposed to two people to make poor decisions, because when there's three people involved, they're worried about what the other two are thinking of them, or sort of like what's their status in this group of three friendship,
Right.
as opposed to just two kids. I think when there's just two kids, it's easier to be a little bit more honest. But as soon as you add that third person, you start to worry about peer pressure and what's going to happen, and it's easy to make poor decisions.
So, as an author, do you have to think like a police officer? Do you have to imagine what the conversation might be like, and the suspicions that you might have? Like maybe there was a conspiracy against the kid, and the other two are in on it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting way of putting it. Certainly in terms of the plot, like what is it that actually happened to Tommy? I did try to cover all the bases and try to make all the possible twists sort of realistic before the reveal happens. So yeah, I try to run through all the possible scenarios that I can think of anyway.
And you also delve into family relationships. I mean, a family that seems close, even their relationship can be strained when something like this happens.
No, absolutely, and I think that's the connection between Disappearance at Devil's Rock and A Head Full of Ghosts as well. I think both books, are about really these families dealing with, these, horrific things that have happened to them, these tragedies. In the case of A Head Full of Ghosts, it's the 14-year-old daughter who is either having a psychotic break or maybe she's possessed. And, in the case of Disappearance at Devil's Rock, it's, this 13-year-old boy just, disappeared off the face of the earth. And
Wow.
to me, in a horror story, you have the reveal, like this terrible sort of occurrence that happens. But to me, the most interesting parts are what happens after. Like, what kind of decisions are these characters going to make? How do they live through this? How does anybody live through this? And to me, those are the questions I really try to dig into a story with.
Do your students know that you write these books?
Yeah, they do. It's kind of funny, I'm still their math teacher, so I mean they're definitely excited about, certainly, the prospects of A Head Full of Ghosts might become a movie, so they're more into that idea.
Oh, okay.
In my lowest moments, I tell them, when they're giving me a hard time, as their math teacher, I'm like, you people don't understand. There are actually people outside of the school that think I'm cool, but they don't buy it.
Well, that's kind of funny.
Well, that's pretty amazing that you can use both sides of your brain then to be creative and also analytical, which must help you in the story process.
Yeah, thanks. It's funny. I usually get asked, do you write like a horror math story? I'm like, most people tend to react to math and horror anyway, as it is. But yeah, no, I think it would be harder for me as an English teacher because I'd be using sort of the same brain muscles, teaching. So, it's not that I'm not tired after a full day of teaching, but at least it's not, when I do writing, it's different than when I was doing when I was teaching math.
Wow. Are the literature teachers jealous, or are they writing books too?
There's a couple that are, doing some writing stuff, but, for the most part, they're definitely, very supportive.
That's cool. Paul, thank you for being on the air with us. It's a short interview, but I will have a book that you sent us, or your publicist did. For the listeners, I'd like to give this book to one of you. If you call me right now, I'll leave it for you. It's called Disappearance at Devil's Rock. It is a novel by Paul Tremblay, and the phone number to ask for it is 622-9622, but I only have one, so the rest of us have to go buy it.
Yep.
And Paul, let's see, where do I start here? How about a website? Do you have a website?
Yes, it's just my name, paultremblay.net. I'm also on Twitter at Paul G. Tremblay. And if you tweet at me, I pretty much respond. So as long
Okay.
as you're nice.
And
Yes, that's true.
Paul spells his last name Tremblay. Just saying, Tremblay is what it looks like. Paul, thank you for being on the air with us, and good luck with everything. And if you're ever in Florida, we'd love to have you in the studio. This is cool.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, Larry. This was a lot of fun.
And tell the students there are some people out there that think you're cool.
That's right. You are cool.
I now have audio proof.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right, we will take a break. We'll be right back.
Veterans are the foundation upon which our freedom is built. Listen to The Source, WOCA, each Thursday at 9 a.m. to Veterans News with Hank Whittier from Vets Helping Vets. You'll hear tributes, information on veterans issues, and stories that will make you laugh, cry, and feel proud. Veterans News always focuses on the military, past and present, and on our first responders. Veterans News is brought to you each week by Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery, keeping you blooming since 1952.
Need a mailbox rental but need more information? Remember, Personal Service Centers, 789-6683. Hunt us